Good morning. Welcome into the John Marks Show. I am not John Marks, definitively. I am Jamie Lynch, joining you on Philly with John Marks after Tyler and BG held it down yesterday. Back in the saddle again this morning. And, of course, Philly with John Marks is brought to you by our friends at BetParx, right there on Street Road in Bensalem. Easy to get to from everywhere. They got the Excite Center. They got the food court. They got the Liberty Beer Garden. They got a beautiful sports book. They got it all happening in the epicenter of the world, Bensalem. Good morning to everybody. Tyler Zulli is with us as well. I see Futz and K-Red, real sickos, up for the pain this morning. That was last night's Phillies game. We got a lot to get to today. The Sixers Summer League continued on. Eagles camp is quickly approaching. But right now, Tyler, the only thing I'm thinking about is how to upgrade this Phillies team. We have some Phillies trivia that got added to from last night. We'll talk about McCovey Code. But first off, I think Tyler said it last night in his game recap online. The Phillies are a mere 3-15, I believe it was, in their last 18 games at Oracle Park. Since 2014, they're winning about 20% of their games. That is hard to do when you've been a good ball club for 6 seasons now. You just continue to lose at that ballpark. I will say it again. I think not having Justin Crawford on this trip was a mistake. You could have hit him away from home. The pressure is off. The ballparks are big. An all-star break is upcoming. 3-18 in their last 21. Tyler corrects me. So even worse. I think Justin Crawford should have been here for a spark of energy on this team. Otto Kemp, as we've seen, has performed pretty well, has given a little bit of adrenaline to this Phillies club. But anyway, I'm not going to bitch too much about Justin Crawford. I just think it was a mistake this week. The real travesty and what I'm pissed off about this morning is Jose Alvarado. Now, Dave Dombrowski is a close second, and to Scott and everybody in the chat this morning, what up? Why don't you hit that thumbs up button for me on the YouTube page to keep us in business and keep it humming for that YouTube algorithm. Brighton Condor's in here bitching about Romano, and we're going to get to him. But Romano, so it goes pecking order. 1, pissed off at Jose Alvarado. 2, Dave Dombrowski in the front office. 3, Jordan Romano. And then we'll get to the rest of everybody on the S list here this morning. Jose Alvarado, you killed this team this year. You killed this team. You're forcing them. Not that you weren't going to trade a prospect anyway, because every contending club that has a chance is going to upgrade their team, usually in the bullpen at a minimum, at the trade deadline. So you were going to trade some form of prospect. Jose Alvarado has forced your hand into trading a big prospect because we all know the situation. Schwarber's a free agent. Ranger's a free agent. Nick Castellanos is falling off a cliff. Bryce Harper is getting older. Trey Turner's performing his end of the bargain right now. A lot of your youth hasn't stepped up. This window is potentially inching closed. And with our current bullpen situation for the Phillies, I don't know what Rob Thompson's supposed to do. We'll talk about Orion Kerkering in a minute. But relying on Jordan Romano for and screw his last name. Romano, like I hate that I have to even think about it every time I say it. Yes, John Peace, I am currently blaming somebody not on the roster. Very much so, because it was selfish, it was stupid, and it killed this team. It killed this team. Because here's the thing. Dave Dombrowski, he's number 2 on the list. He's number 2 because he neglected to upgrade this team in a substantial way in the offseason. And I understand that money is finite, and John Middleton isn't going to go into 3rd and 4th tier luxury taxes on the regular. We have a very good owner who spends money. John Middleton is not on this list. Dave Dombrowski brought in Max Kepler at $10 million and Jordan Romano, a reclamation project who was once good, on the cheap. And Carlos Estevez is out there pitching well. Hoffman, I haven't looked at his stats over the last month, but he's been better than what we have. And you said, I'm good with Strom, Kerkering, and Jose Alvarado as my 3 horses. I can supplement some pieces where need be the rest of the way. Joe Ross at times last year showed you some promise. You were hoping maybe some of those guys like a Tanner Banks or the Seth Johnson you got last year at the trade deadline, you would hope some of those pieces would supplement your big three. But you had big three. You had Orion, you had Strom, and you had Jose Alvarado. And Jose Alvarado railroaded this season by getting suspended. And I don't even want to see him come back. I hope that's not a hot take, because I don't want him to come back for the month of September and see what could have been again, because then he's not going to be eligible for the postseason, and it's going to mess up the juju, it's going to mess up the flow, and it's going to make the fan base pissed off all over again. So Jose Alvarado 1, Dave Dombrowski 2, not good enough in the offseason. There's trades, there's ways to get creative. You couldn't sit on your hands and just do nothing, because the reality is, with the new wild card system in place, relying on the trade deadline to patch big holes in your roster is not a winning formula right now. We've known this. Look at the trade deadlines the past couple years. Last year was the first time a top 100 prospect hadn't been traded in like 47 years. So to rely on a trade deadline to fix your team was wrong. It was short-sighted. And frankly, like, this veteran core of a roster deserved better. Now, Jose Alvarado, just like my blood is boiling this morning. Dave Dombrowski, Jordan Romano, Rob Thompson. Relying on him for 5 outs is a fool's errand. That being said, do you want to go to Joe Ross in the 9th inning? Like, do you want to go to Tanner Banks? Rob Thompson, I can't roast here, because I don't know what he's supposed to do. You go to Strom in the 7th. You patchwork with Robert coming in the 8th and Romano in the 9th. And it just sucks. Jordan Romano, I don't really want to see anymore. You cannot leave a mid-90s cookie in the middle of a plate to a catcher batting 9th who's hitting like 190 on the year in a massive ballpark where there's weird adulations in the outfield and balls can go anywhere. You cannot leave that over there. You just can't. But I don't know what Rob Thompson is supposed to do. So let's bring in Mr. Tyler Zulli. Tyler, I spent about an hour this morning doom scrolling the internet. We have some trade scenarios from Matt Gelb on the Phillies Therapy podcast yesterday, which I'll throw at you, which probably have the most actual credence to it. But I scoured the web from The Athletic to CBS Sports to Yahoo Sports to local guys of names that could be available at the trade deadline. And I have a list of outfielders, which I think is second to the bullpen. Actually, I don't know which is the bigger issue. Ask me depending on which series just ended. And I have a list of some bullpen arms. This team needs massive help. And I know they're in first place, and I know they're going to win 94 games, and yada, yada, yada. They need help.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about it. There's deficiency. And I think there were deficiencies heading into the season, and it was something that we talked about at the end of March, was that they were probably a bullpen arm short to begin with. And they have done a nice job of stacking series and beating bad teams, and then now starting to beat some good teams, this series notwithstanding. But heading into this series, they were, finally over 500 against teams that were over 500. But the deficiencies that we expected have been there the whole time. The question marks were, is Max Kepler an everyday left fielder? The answer to that question is no. The question marks were, are there enough reliable bullpen arms now that Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez have departed and you signed Jordan Romano instead? The answer to that question is no as well. And I'm going to tell you this. The Phillies did not – I said at the beginning of the year, the Phillies did not have a lot of monetary flexibility. And the likelihood of a run-it-back type scenario was very real. And I think for a lot of people that pissed them off, because whether you were not a Bohm fan or you were not a Marsh fan or you were not a Stott fan or whomever it might be, I think that made people a little bit frustrated. But I will say this. The Phillies spent $22.5 million
on crap
on three players this offseason. It was Max Kepler, it was Joe Ross, and it was Jordan Romano. So I'm going to ask you, because of the fact that they spent about $13 million on the bullpen specifically in Ross and Romano, do you know who the Phillies could have gotten in free agency for $13 million?
Dennis Santana, and then another arm. Because didn't he sign for like $5 million or something?
Here's the answer to the question. If you're thinking about the AAV, $13 million, it's literally every reliever that signed a free agent contract whose name is not Tanner Scott. Kirby Yates signed the second highest AAV per year at $13 million. Jeff Hoffman and Carlos Estevez were both in the 10 and 11 range. Now, Hoffman's number kicks up a little bit next year, but his AAV is about 10 or $11 million. The reality is, if you wanted a better arm, and instead of getting two arms, you just felt comfortable getting one good one, you could have gotten everybody that was on the market whose name was not Tanner Scott.
Cool. That definitely helps my Jose Alvarado rage this morning.
Well, I think even before the Alvarado suspension, you and I talked about it plenty. They needed an arm. Their bullpen was short an arm prior to the suspension. Then the likely scenario
but at least you had your big three. You know, you had your stability, your foundation.
And I will say this. I want to give credit to one guy. I think Tanner Banks has stepped up in a pretty big way this year. He's been good. Much better than we could have expected. But am I sitting here saying that Tanner Banks is a replacement player for Jose Alvarado? No, Tanner Banks has done a nice job in elevating his expectations and meeting those expectations. But they were an arm short in the bullpen before everything happened. They're probably now two arms short. And the likely scenario is if they make the postseason, one of the starters is going to be one of those arms. That still means they need to acquire a bullpen piece down the stretch.
Yes, and Aaron Nola, an update, throwing a bullpen today and then again on Saturday, and they're going to take it from there. So maybe that allows Taiwan to bump down whatever it is. It's not incredibly exciting, but it is some form of help.
And speaking of Taiwan Walker, like up until the 8th inning, Walker was solid, kept him in the ball game. Banks comes in, pitches well. Lazar
the Giants' first run was gross and fluky.
Dominic Smith checks. He looked like he was, using a saber to block a sword attack. Yeah. You know what I mean? It looked like a video game.
Yeah, it was pretty gross and fluky. All right, so as we're about to take a pause to tell you about some of our friends, which is the bigger need, Tyler? Is it the outfield? Is it the offensive upgrade, or is it the bullpen upgrade? Think about that. On the other side, we're going to get into some of these names. We're going to get into, the Matt Gelb kind of situation he threw out yesterday on his podcast, Phillies Therapy. He threw out an outfielder and a relief pitcher, both of which are fairly sexy names. So we'll talk about that coming up next. To everybody here in the chat with us, I hope you're as irritated as I am. Oracle Park is not a real place. It is fiction. Luckily, these losses don't count in the standings. But you know what? It is a real place. That's GLAT Hair at the Morgan Stern Medical Center. Visit GLAT Hair at the Morgan Stern Medical because being bald is now optional. So this upcoming trade deadline breakdown brought to you by GLAT Hair. But let's take a quick moment here to tell you about our friends at PHLY. And that would be our friends at Rothman Orthopedics. Now, the Sixers squad, everything they're doing this summer is brought to you by Rothman Orthopedics. They're headed out to Summer League in Vegas today. And Devon Givens can tell you firsthand how great Rothman Orthopedics is because he tore his knee up playing hoops. And he's got kids, and he's got he's got to get out there and play and be active. And he can't be sore and having aches and limping around playing with the kids. So whether you're playing a pickup game and you got aches, old injuries flaring up, summer adventures on the horizon, the Rothman team of experts is here to help you. Their evidence-based care and commitment to restoring your mobility, they'll get you back out there stronger than ever. Don't let pain put your summer on pause. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to book your appointment today and get back to doing what you love, pain-free. Rothman Orthopedics, getting you back to your summer game is their mission.
All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Ace Hardware and Ace Hardware Home Services. Whether it is a leaky faucet or an outlet that's been broken for a while and you say you're going to fix it and it's on your honey-do list, but you never get around to it, head on over to Ace Hardware Home Services because they do the little stuff like that, but they also do the big stuff like your heating and your cooling, your HVAC work. They are the trusted pros that you know and you love, and it's the trusted hardware folks and it's the helpful hardware folks that you love at the store, and they bring that helpful home right to your front door all the way from Philly to the Jersey Shore. It's been stupid muggy the last couple of days. The humidity is through the roof. If your AC is struggling to keep up, you want to call Ace and get that fixed as soon as possible, because yes, I understand we're kind of halfway through the summer, which is crazy, but you still have August. The dog days of August are coming. September is rolling around. It stays hot until October now. You want to get that AC fixed. Don't sweat it out. Don't be miserable for the entire summer months because your AC is not working. Or if you're trying to get ahead of the game when the winter rolls around once again and your heater's not fixed and it's not properly working, well, you can call Ace for that too, because they have all of the trusted pros that are going to do the work for you in a timely, professional, friendly manner. They bring experience, they bring understanding, they bring that helpful to your home. They'll offer you free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for you and your home and your budget. It's service you can trust and satisfaction guaranteed. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project today.
All right, this is the John Marks Show, Philly with John Marks. I am not John Marks. I am Jamie Lynch in with Tyler Zulli here this morning. And look, before this series in Oracle started, I said, I'm not going to get irritated. I'm not going to get pissed. But when Kyle Schwarber sends one into McCovey Cove and you have a lead and you just can't simply protect it to a catcher in the 9-hole batting 191 on the year, I'm going to get irritated. So here we are having a little bit of a morning bitch fest. Phillies back at it 3:45 today. So at least we can bitch and be rested because those late games are killer. Tyler, I feel for you on the West Coast trips. But a great game recap, a bleary-eyed Tyler Zulli, fueled by Celsius.
Sponsor me.
Yeah, come on, Celsius. Help our boy out here. Send him a case. That's the last free advertising you'll get, Celsius. Just kidding. I think the entire staff drinks them.
Well, yeah, okay. I've learned in this industry, you are either fueled by ridiculous, like red-eye order coffees like you are, or energy drinks like I am. Because a lot of times turnaround times in this industry are very, very quick, whether it's early mornings to
2 cold brew coffees and 2 shots of espresso in here.
Yep. Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, frustrating one last night, but the trivia that they gave in game, Tyler, I don't know if you caught it, the Stump the Fans last night, got an update. Can you name the Phillies that have homered into McCovey Cove?
Yeah, it's funny because T-Mac and Rube were talking about it 2 nights ago, and they like showed highlights of it, and then it was the question the next day. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, you got to get this one right. And Ruben Amar's like, oh, dude, I don't remember. And so not only did they disrespect one of the guys once, they did it on consecutive nights. So the answer is Bryson Stott and Bryce Harper are the 2 that are currently on the roster. And then Cody Ashley is the 3rd.
Yeah, that's the one nobody gets.
They really gave a lot of disrespect to Cody Ashley.
Poor Cody Ashley catching strays.
Yes, his offense in Baltimore right now is not playing very well. So maybe he needs to internally look at himself.
The other 2, Dom Brown and now Kyle Schwarber, have been added to the list as the McCovey Cove splashdown guys.
Yep.
So a little fun trivia last night. All right,
Cody Ashley had to be somebody's. This guy's gonna be good. Like everybody had a guy on that team, that really bad Phillies team that you kind of latched to. So like
mine was Aaron Altair,
and I was Nick Williams.
Okay.
And I have to imagine somebody was like, yeah, dude, Cody Ashley can play.
It was a pretty swing. I think it was Rube last night that was like, man, that is a pretty swing.
Yeah,
it was. All right. I asked you before the break here, Tyler, which is the bigger issue? Is it the outfield and the offensive inconsistencies, or is it the bullpen? Now, there is scenarios where the bullpen does acquire arms without trading. TBD, what happens with Andrew Painter? He pitched again last night. 5 runs allowed, 3 of which came on a 3-run homer in the 6th inning. Struggling some, not dominating AAA like the way you'd like to see. What they do with him, still very much TBD, but there is I'd say a 50-50 shot he comes to the big league club to help out in some capacity. And they've already said that's not going to be a bullpen arm, so a 6 starter. But if he does come up and Nola returns, you have the capability of putting Taiwan and maybe even the Lizard Man. I don't know. Back in the bullpen. So there are scenarios where the bullpen gets new blood without making a trade.
Yeah, come postseason time, I think the logical choice to see who's going to be one of the starters out of the bullpen is Jesus Luzardo. His first innings have been very, very good this year. It's the second and third innings that he's had trouble, and in his trouble games, that's where he kind of runs into spots. But I think having a power lefty arm out of the bullpen would be really significant. So I think if that's of your current starters, that's the choice. Because I'm not moving Sanchez. He's been excellent. I'm not moving Suarez. He's been excellent. And of course, Zach Wheeler is starting game one. So I think that's your logical choice out of the starting rotation. The Painter thing is interesting because I think we've talked plenty about, could Andrew Painter be in that David Price type of role, the 2007 and 2008 David Price type of role with the Tampa Bay Rays. And I think that is something that a lot of fans would clamor for. I know I've talked to Pat Egan about it. I've talked to you about it. It's something that I'm interested in. The Phillies seem like they have zero interest in Andrew Painter pitching out of the bullpen this year. And I don't know if I don't want to say it feels short-sighted because I don't want to stunt the kid's growth, but it certainly feels this season like it's a little bit short-sighted because I do think he can help the bullpen in a power arm type of spot, down the stretch.
It's an all-hands-on-deck situation when you have a World Series capable roster that has flaws. You have an offseason to reset your mind and your arm, and we're talking about 2 months here. He is on an innings limit. I believe they said 120 max at the beginning of the year. I think he's at 60-something right now. So, do I want to use him every third day out of the pen, or do I want to use him every 6th or 7th day as a starter that's going to give you 4 to 5 innings? I selfishly would probably rather use him in the pen.
Well, and I think the thing is, too, if he is going to come up and be a starter, he's throwing, you're right, about 4 or 5 innings, and then you're still turning to your bullpen for the final 15 or 18 outs. And so I'm curious as to, what the thought process would be in terms of, why they wouldn't trust him. And I'm not asking for high leverage. If he's a middle reliever, that's, to me, and I know a lot of people are getting frustrated with the numbers in AAA. Last night, he gave up the 5 earned runs, like you said. All 5 of them came off of the long ball. He gave up the 3-run home run, and then I don't know if it was 2 solos or a 2-run home run, but
I believe it was 2 solos.
All 5 of them came off the long ball, and so I don't want to sit here and chalk it up to 3 bad pitches. Sure, his numbers aren't eye popping to you in AAA, but for a guy like that who has been the guy that you're expecting him to be, I don't have any issue if you allow him to come in and get his feet wet in the major league level and do it out of the bullpen. It's not like you're going to break this kid mentally. No, I think if you sit here and say, hey, man.
I think he works with a mental strength coach, a conditioning wellness coach.
So
this kid's got it together between the ears.
If you're looking for another 30 innings at the major league level, I would prefer to spread those 30 innings out over 20 appearances than as opposed to 6 appearances.
Because starting pitching is great. I mean, we're watching one of the best Phillies rotations ever.
Right. A plethora of starting pitching. I think it makes sense. They're not going to do it. And I don't know if that's not. I don't know if that's going to be, if that's, like I said, if that's short-sighted or not, but it seems like most logical fans are thinking this way.
Yeah. So gun to your head, for lack of a better analogy there. If you had to make one move where you can push in, are you bringing a bullpen arm to this team, or are you bringing some kind of outfield? Because there's 2 names Matt Gelb mentioned yesterday. We'll get into them in one in each category. Both pretty good names. Claude already mentioned one of them in the chat here. If you have to push in for one move, what are you doing?
I think it's the outfield. I know that they're bullpen deficient. There's no question about it. But I think that they can make a smaller move one of these starters to the bullpen, and figure things out from there, where you're trusting Kerkering, you're trusting Strom. I think you're trusting Banks. And then after that, you probably need to be able to trust one more guy, and you're feeling okay enough. This offense needs an infusion. It needs an infusion in a bad way. They have had way too many games this year where their pitching has kept them in games, and they have lost because they're not scoring enough
Pirates
runs.
series.
The Pirates series. The Astros series. They gave up 5 runs in 3 games in the Astros series and got swept. Zach Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Ranger Suarez are going to keep you in every playoff series that you're in. And if they give you 6 strong innings, I can feel okay with 3 guys getting 9 outs. I need somebody. And listen, I'm not saying this bullpen doesn't need help. It needs help. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But if you're asking me who do they need help, what needs more help,
I'm with you.
I need a right-handed hitting left fielder.
All right, then we'll start there with a name Matt Gelb threw out yesterday on his podcast. The Red Sox are, I believe, 6.5 games out of first place right now. There's a strong chance that they're trending towards being sellers. And there's a name, a right fielder up there who is was a huge prospect for them, is a pretty good contributing outfielder. He's been marred with some controversy up there as well. He's about a 2 WAR player, I think, this year. I know how much you love WAR, so I had to get that number for you. I think he's at 1.7 or 1.8, which I'm pretty sure leads all Phillies outfielders. Jarren Duran from the Boston Red Sox. Now, Matt Gelb mentioned him, and he mentioned a pretty sexy bullpen arm in Emmanuel Clase from the Cleveland Guardians. He said both packages would be prospect loaded around your boy, Eduardo Tait, and or Arun Escobar, who just got elevated to high A yesterday. I am totally fine with losing those guys. Tait looks like he's got something. He's a monster of a 19-year-old that's hitting bombs from the catcher position. Maybe he's our big dumper. I don't know, but this team needs help right now. If Duran is available, I have a hard time not pushing in for him.
Yeah, the only problem with Duran right now is no fault of his own. He hits left-handed, and they need a right-handed bat. But I understand as to why they're thinking about it, because they need help. Period. I think.
Yeah.
But that to me is the one concern, is that he is a left-handed bat. But like, he's got 40 extra base hits this year already, at 23 doubles, 10 triples.
This team needs doubles.
And 7 home runs. So he led the American League in triples last year. He led the American League in doubles last year. He's currently on pace to lead the American League in triples again this year. The power is not quite there like it was last year. He had 21 home runs last year. He has just 7 through the first 92 games. Last year was a really, really good year for Duran. The average is down. The OBP is down. The numbers across the board are down compared to a season ago. But he's still having a fine enough year that I think there's going to be consideration for playoff caliber teams that would want to make this move. He's on pace to strike out about 160 times for the second consecutive year. He's at 99 through 92 games. So he's about a strikeout per game, a little bit more strikeout per game type of guy. There's no question about it. Duran will help a playoff team down the stretch. My wonder with him is twofold. A, as we said, left-handed, and B, the package that includes Eduardo Tait concerns me because of the fact that the Phillies do not have any catching prospects that are readily available, and he's not readily available either. Don't get me wrong; he's 19 years old.
He's still 4 years away, bro.
Right? His estimated timeline is like 2028. Which, if he's the guy in 2028, that's wonderful. I love Tait. I love the upside.
I'll worry about 2028 and 2027.
I totally understand it. I get, and you know me, I am a proven over prospect guy all the time. I put out a video a couple days ago saying that there are 3 prospects that I would not want to move, and he's one of them. So I would be like, the right trade package would have to come around for me to want to move Tait. And as much as I think Duran would be helpful, him being left-handed, him having a little bit of a dip in power, it's not that concerning, but I do think I would be my hesitation is actually in moving Tait, not in acquiring Duran.
Fair. Does it make you more comfortable trading for Emmanuel Clase, who having a little bit of a down year? And by the way, Duran next year has a club option for $8 million, and then in 27 and 28, he's arbitration 3 and 4 eligible, not a free agent until 2029. Does it make you more comfortable trading for Emmanuel Clase to give up your boy?
Yeah, I think if you're going to go and get a premier level closer, I know Clase is having a down year compared to last year, but I think any year was going to be a down year compared to last year. He finished third in the Cy Young. He had like a .7 ERA. His numbers were just off the charts good. And his contract is really team friendly. Like whoever
I have it right
his
here in
agent
front
is
of
should
me.
be fired.
So this year, this year he is making 4.9 on the payroll. Next year, Emmanuel Clase making 6.4 million.
It's less than Jordan Romano.
Oh God, club options in 27 and 28 for 10 million per.
That's a steal. It's a steal of a contract for the Guardians and for whomever acquires him. You've got a shutdown back end of the bullpen. I mean, and that's not a high leverage arm. That's a closer. Like I've talked a lot about, Rob Thompson's hesitancy to name a closer because they didn't really have one on the roster. If you acquire a Clase, you have a closer. That is your ninth inning guy. And that's the guy that if you need him in the eighth, in a high leverage spot, you'll go to him. Don't get me wrong. But like, you don't have to worry about who's coming out of the bullpen in the ninth inning. You're getting a video and music. You know what I mean? Like at home, you're getting the whole closer thing, right? I don't know what his song is, but like I think about Hell's Bells and I think about all that. Enter Sandman. Like that's the type of guy that you're getting. I know that that's cheesy, but that's kind of the point of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to get a Clase on that type of deal, knowing even with the fact that his numbers, he's been hit harder this year than he was last year. His numbers are up across the board. That's the type of guy, if you can go and get, you go figure it out. That cutter's disgusting. He throws a 98-mile-an-hour cutter, and he's got a good offset pitch after that. Like, if you can get Duran or Clase, you figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, especially with the club control. The chat is saying make it Duran. And go get Johan Duran from the Minnesota Twins and Duran from the Red Sox. So
and by the way, Joseph Brennan brings up draft a college catcher. If Caden Bodine is available at 26 for the draft, he's the catcher out of Coastal Carolina. I'm assuming he's probably not going to be because of the run they just made, and he got a lot more recognition over the last couple of weeks. If he is available when the Phillies draft, I would run to the podium for that guy.
Of course. Who wasn't watching Coastal Carolina games, Tyler?
Dude, they won 27 games in a row.
I was locked in. 27 in a row is nasty. Yeah, sure. I am not afraid to lose any of them. Now, another name in the outfield, since we'll stay on the outfield, and then after this name, we'll tell you about some more friends of ours. Another name that has been tied to the Phillies a little bit. We've talked about him a lot. He is on a wretched organization. And we're not talking Colorado Rockies. We're talking the Chicago White Sox.
You can't quit this guy.
He's tied to the Phillies. I can't. Look, all right. He's never put it together. His offense has fallen off of a cliff. He's gotten under the ball more this year than he ever has in his career. He has a pop-up issue. His power numbers are down. His defense is still good. He's still good on the base pass. What would you do for Luis Robert Jr.? He's a right-handed bat. This is a classic change of scenery type of situation. He's not white, so that's pretty cool. I have some intrigue because I think you can buy him on the cheap. And what I've been reading up on him is that the White Sox have kind of come to terms with any trade is going to require them eating some money. So he is expensive. There's, I think, another 2 years of control left on him. Having a down year, you're buying a guy at his low, where a year and a half ago, the White Sox wouldn't have even thought about eating any money in a trade like this. The reality of the situation is you're buying a guy low and hoping that he can get back to a sort of baseline. If he can, he's exactly what you need in an outfield.
Yeah, 2 years ago, the White Sox are getting 3 top 15 prospects.
Crazy.
For him.
They blew that.
And at least a top 5 prospect for him. This year, like you said, I think they're under the realization at this point that they're going to end up eating a lot of money. He is in the 19th percentile in chase rate, the 6th percentile in the 5th percentile in strikeout rate. And for a guy who a couple years ago felt like he was crushing the baseball, and he was, because he was barreling at 15%. All of his numbers, like his metrics, were off the charts. He is now in the 1%. of
baby.
squared
Top
up
1%.
percentages. No. Bottom 1%.
Yeah, I know.
Of squared up percentages. This guy I have not seen a fall off a cliff in a really, really long time. And I know there's a lot of people, like I was talking to my dad about this guy the other day, and my dad brought up the loser organization and the moping and the sulking type of thing. And I said,
that's real.
I think there would be a little bit of an infusion of life going from the White Sox to a good team. Is it enough to jump this guy from a 187 batting average to becoming a productive player? I'll be honest with you. I really don't have a lot of intrigue in Luis Robert right now. I did last year. You know how much I loved him in 2023. Sure. This year, I don't think I have a lot of interest. He needs to prove it to me first.
How much do you respect Kevin Long, as Peeling Onions brings up?
More than a lot of people in Philly.
Yeah.
But like, what's he going to do? Walk on water?
So I think Luis Robert makes sense if you go get a big bullpen arm, because he's in a situation right now, as he just kind of said, you can probably acquire him and not touch a top 10 prospect. You might be able to get him for like that 11th through 16th guy, and somebody down at like 23, 24. Like, it's not going to cost you a lot. If the White Sox eat a chunk of that money, I'm very dumb. I like to gamble. And to me, he is like the ultimate gamble, because you're buying low, so there's not a lot of risk there. Financially, I don't care about John Middleton's money a little bit. And 3, if it works out for you, I mean, it's kind of exactly what you need. Not that he's going to get back to his peak, but like if he can become a competent, non-striking out pop-up guy, like he can drive gaps and put balls over the wall for you. So I'm in.
Yeah, I think the intrigue is around some kind of resurgence. The intrigue is around like a reclamation project. And I tend to agree with what John P said in the chat. I believe in Caleb Cotham. I think Caleb Cotham's done a really nice job with a lot of arms on this team. Caleb Cotham's
him a job for life.
He's a really, really good pitching coach. And you've seen, maturations from Christopher Sanchez, from Ranger Suarez, Jesus Luzardo at the beginning of the year. They worked on that sweeper at the beginning of the year. It paid off, early. Kirkering's grown into his own. Banks has gotten better. Yeah. Like, I think that there's tangible track record to say Caleb Cotham's done a really wonderful job as this team's pitching coach. Now, I do take a little bit of merit into what Whit Merrifield said on that podcast last year, where it's like, what does a hitting coach actually do?
Sure.
But I don't have a ton of confidence in a resurgence from Luis Robert at this point.
Well, like I said, I'm dumb. I like to gamble. Let's gamble, baby. All right, let's tell you, we're going to go through the rest of the names on this list. There are some other names that can help both the outfield and the bullpen here, because we all know they need it. But first, let's tell you about some more friends of ours here at PHLY. Empire Today. You know the jingle. You know the company. If you watch baseball for the last 3 decades, you've probably heard Empire Today commercials. And why is that? Because they stood the test of time. You don't hang around as a company forever unless you're quality and people know you're quality and you back it up. Look, I hate big box stores. Whenever my wife says, let's go to Home Depot or Lowe's or IKEA, I'd rather just walk into traffic. I hate the big box stores. You can't find an expert to help you. You can't get your questions answered. Everything is like a maze. You're walking around looking for stuff 80% of the time you're in there. I'm not about that life. I'm not. I like to shop at home convenience. And Empire Today brings that to you, right to your front door. Not only do they bring an expert to your door, they're going to, here's a novel idea, listen to you and hear what you want, and they're going to formulate the floors they would put in their own home that matches exactly what you're looking for. And they have a virtual floor designer, so you can see what those new floors are going to look like right there in your house with your furniture and your wall color and all of it. So with Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule installation as soon as the next day. So schedule a free in-home estimate today, because some things are just better at home. PHLY listeners can receive a $350 discount when using promo code PHLY. Yes, you heard that right. a $350 discount with code PHLY. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday.com/PHLY for full details. Oh, you're muted there, Tyler.
Yeah, I should probably learn how to use my microphone. There we go. Let me tell you about our friends over at BetParx and the BetParx Sportsbook. We got a little bit of day baseball today. Chance to hopefully avoid the sweep out in San Francisco. It's a place of horrors. Nobody wants to play there anymore. Might just chalk this thing up as an L. But you do have an opportunity to live bet on the game because live betting is better with our friends over at BetParx and the BetParx app. Now, it's Jesus Luzardo on the mound for Philly. It's Justin Verlander on the mound for San Francisco. Justin Verlander, I don't know if you know this or not, but hasn't won a game this season. All year has not won a game. And so we're maybe that trend continues. Anyway, if you want to get in on a game combo, which is an incredible way to play over at BetParx, you can bet Philadelphia to win and the under at 8 to hit. And that is a $25 bet will pay you out $58.78. But if it's not just the sports betting that you can get in on. You can get in on all the live slots, the table games, all the things that you like to play at Parx Casino. You can do it right in the palm of your hand. You can get in on any of the games like Huff and More Puff, Mega Fire Blaze, Dwarves and Goblins, the Flintstones. They have all of your favorite classic TV shows, more modern TV shows turned into slots. You can do it right all in the palm of your hand. And new users can get up to $1,000 cash back. All you have to do is see betparx.com for terms and conditions. You love to play, you play to win, you bet at BetParx. Must be 21 and physically located in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, or Maryland. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
I don't know what just started transpiring in the chat, but INS is talking about dipping cups for hot dogs. Sir, you have my attention. A mustard cheese chili dipping cup for each bite.
Little trio dipping sauce. You put the word artisan in that. You sell it at a bistro. Sell for $27. You're stealing money.
Yeah, I'm in on the hot dog dipping cup. What's the worst that could happen?
See, I am not a hot dog guy. So
oh no,
nah, not a hot dog guy.
Man. I mean, I'm not like crazy like hot dog guys. There's a lot of hot dog guys that are about that life, but I love a hot dog occasionally. Yeah.
So like when I go to the ballpark,
I'm a sausage, pepper, and onion guy.
The first thing my wife says to me is, "All right, I want a hot dog, I want crab fries, and I want a summer shandy." Those are the three things she gets every time we go to the ballpark.
And I am not a hot dog $49.50.
$711 and your first semester of college payments.
And your first 3 innings in line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, let's buzz through some of these names here. I scoured the web for about an hour this morning, reading The Athletic and CBS and Yahoo and every trade deadline report, and I thought it would be a fun exercise simply to go through this with the baseball bot, Tyler Zulli, and just do simple surface level yay or nay. We talked about Duran and Clase. I think that's about as sexy as it gets out there at the trade deadline. With this new landscape we live in, everybody's kind of alive until they aren't. So it really kind of, unsexified the trade deadline. So here's the names that are out there. Duran and Clase, I think we're both in on. Cedric Mullins from the Baltimore Orioles.
Kind of out. He's an upgrade over Kepler, I believe. But I think after a really strong April, he's kind of come back down to earth a little bit. Still a really good defender. Still can cause some problems on the base paths. I think, however, I think I'm out on Cedric Mullins unless the price is fairly reasonable in terms of like I'm giving up a 10 through 20 type of prospect. He's down to 211. His OBP, he's closing in on a sub 300 OBP. The expected numbers are getting worse and worse as the season goes on. I think he's kind of come crashing back down a little bit. He's 30 years old. I feel like his best days are kind of behind him. I think I'm out on Cedric Mullins.
Yeah, to me, he's like a perpendicular move. Like, really doesn't really upgrade you much at all. I'm with you on that one.
And, again, another left-handed bat.
Yeah. Now, we've had success getting one Jesus from the Miami Marlins. Do we run it back? Jesus Sanchez could be out there. Got a little bit of pop. Still young. I believe there's 2 years of control left on him, if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head. I was reading a lot of MLB Savant and Spot Trick and Over the Cap pages today, so I'm kind of all mumble-jumbled. I believe it's 2 years left. Does he do anything for you?
Extreme pull hitter. If you look at his spray chart, it's like 5 or 6 balls have been hit to the left side. Oh, and by the way, another lefty.
I was just going to say another lefty.
Yeah, another lefty. Like, the power numbers are a little bit down this year, just 7 home runs so far in the first 250 some odd at bats, 256, 320 on base, slugging 729. He's an okay player. I think that, provides a little bit of pop, like you brought up. Extreme pull hitter. When he hits the ball hard, he hits the ball really, really hard. Average exit velocity is in the 88th percentile. He's 92 miles an hour off the bat on average. There's intrigue there, but again, another lefty. I'm not so sure the Phillies are 100% interested.
All right, I'm going to get ahead of this one. They've been tied to this guy for what feels like the last 2 or 3 trade deadlines. I'm out on Taylor Ward. I am
so out on Taylor Ward.
Yeah, I don't think he upgrades the team really at all. I'd rather just roll with Justin Crawford.
Dude strikes out way too much. So I did a video actually on Taylor Ward and Joe Adell a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I would absolutely be considering Joe Adell. I would not consider Taylor Ward. And all Joe Adell has done since I've put that video out is like rake, and he's just jacking up his trade value. I think he's going to end up costing too much at this point. I also don't know if the Angels want to move him at this point. So definitely out on Taylor Ward. Would be super interested in Joe Adell, but I don't think the Angels want to move him unless it's for a pretty significant price.
All right, another Red Sox outfielder. Started the year really hot, has kind of plateaued some. We'll see what the Red Sox do here as they're about 6.5 games out of first place. It looks like it's trending towards them being sellers. Willer Abreu is mentioned out there. Does he do anything for you?
Yeah, he's an interesting piece because I think that the Red Sox find themselves having a little bit of a logjam in terms of bats. Again, another lefty.
Yes, they
right?
have a lot of young bats coming up, which makes Duran and him kind of expendable.
And then I think with Cedane Rafael playing really well, like Roman Anthony is up now. They had another prospect make his debut this year, and I'm blanking, and I apologize. But a lot of young bats. And they also have a lot of guys. It's why they felt comfortable moving Devers. It's why, when Casas comes back, he's going to be your first baseman. They're good there. Like, they have guys like Masataka Yoshida, who really are just DHs at this point. They have, I think, a surplus of players and not enough spots for them. Abreu is a really interesting piece. I think kind of an underrated player this year. 17 home runs. 260 average. The OPS is above 800, which only Kyle Schwarber can say for the Phillies lineup so far this year. He's the only player with an OPS above 800. This guy hits the ball relatively hard, squares it up at a lower number, but a really, really good outfielder. With if you look at like the outs above replacement, he's in the 92nd percentile. Good arm, 97th percentile. I think of the lefties, this guy would be one of the ones that would intrigue me.
Yeah. INS says yes on Abreu. Linda says, I don't think the Angels are going to move Joe Adell on our
I don't either. I wish they would, but I think at this point they feel like he's turned that corner and he's becoming the player that they hoped he would be.
And Linda also says Abreu is interesting. I'm at the point where this offense needs such a jolt that the lefty thing, while it's an issue, doesn't deter me from making that type of move.
Well, I don't think it should deter you. I think if they're placing like stock in it, there's real issue as not having a power right-handed bat. But if you can go and acquire a good player, you figure that part out. Like, just go get a good player. So I say that because I think the first thing that people are going to say is they need a right-handed power hitting bat. But if like a Willer Abreu becomes available, they need power, period. So if a guy with 17 home runs is available, I think you figure out the lefty thing.
Yeah.
You get to that, you cross that bridge when you get to it. But at this current juncture, I think they are considering right-handed power hitters over left-handed power hitters.
Yes. One of my favorite sayings, desperation is a stinky cologne. All right. The 2 last names that I found on the outfielders list. How do you feel about a reunion with Austin Hayes?
He's playing well this year. He's having a good season. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's not. And I know people are going to go, absolutely not interested. there's a stink on Austin Hayes around
Yeah.
the city. Part his fault, part not his fault. Now,
Yes.
The part that is not his fault is, nobody's going to predict a kidney infection, right? Like, how do you figure that part out? I think that he's an intriguing piece that is probably going to get moved at the deadline. I believe he's on a 1-year deal with the Reds.
Yes, I think so.
The Reds are playing well. I don't know if the Reds have interest. I say probably going to get moved. I should say maybe going to get moved. The Reds are playing some good ball right now. They're in playoff contention. I was scouring Twitter the other day. I think it was Zach Cozart was talking about, the former Reds shortstop was talking about how the team doesn't really have a whole lot of veteran leadership. And I don't know if they consider Austin Hayes the veteran leadership they're looking for, but he is one of their veterans just by default. So I think that if you asked me three or 4 weeks ago, would the Reds move Austin Hayes? I'd say probably. At this point, it's a maybe.
And then the last name on the outfield list, played first a lot in his career. Like everybody else with the Orioles, has bumped to the outfield at times, and that's Ryan O'Hearn.
Yeah.
Do anything for you?
Yeah. I would be intrigued about Ryan O'Hearn. Power bat, 11 home
Defense
runs.
Probably not great, right?
Shouldn't say power bat. I should say more along the lines of hits the ball hard. When I say power bat in that instance, I mean like does a good job of squaring up the baseball. You look at his baseball savant page, all the things you want are in the red. Doesn't strike out a lot, walks a good bit, hits the ball hard, squares the ball up, slugs at a decent number. Again, another guy with a plus 800 OPS, which is something the Phillies don't have. 11 home runs this year in 262 at-bats, 75 hits. I think that this he's having a nice year. Again, another lefty. But I would
They're all
say
lefties out there. It's unbelievable.
I would say, like, of the guys that you've laid out, the left-handed hitters that you've laid out, the last two guys are the two most intriguing.
and O'Hearn.
Yeah.
If you had to choose one, Abreu or O'Hearn.
I think Abreu because of the age. Abreu's 26, O'Hearn's 31. I think if I could go acquire a guy who's younger, and I would imagine, I don't know his contract off the top of my head, but I would imagine is probably on a fairly still like arbitration type contract. He's pre-arb. So he's got pre-arb and 3 years of arbitration. You'd have 4 years of team control with Abreu. He's going to cost a lot, no question. But I think of the lefties that have been brought up, those two guys would be the most intriguing.
Joseph Brennan in the chat asks about Rooker. That man is a DH.
I just also don't. The A's signed him to a 5-year deal this offseason. Like,
yeah,
I think the A's like their core between Rooker and Butler and Langoliers and Soderstrom and Jacob Wilson, of course. Nick Kurtz has been awesome. Hit a grand slam last night. I think the A's like their core. I don't think the A's are looking to sell. I don't think the A's are going to buy because they're still a year away. But I think the A's are not. I just don't think the A's are going to look to sell.
All right, let's get to some bullpen arms. We'll rapid fire some of these names. One of the sexier names.
Yes.
One of the sexier names on the list outside of Emmanuel Clase, who we talked about earlier, is Ryan Helsley from the St. Louis Cardinals. I believe he was just a 1-year deal.
I think he's got 1 year left.
1 year left.
Yeah, 1 year left. It's funny. I say yes, and the first guy you bring up, I'm kind of leery on. His numbers this year haven't been great.
No, he's on a dip. Yeah.
Obviously, power arm can still sling it at 100. And it's funny, over the last couple of weeks, he's been much better. He's down to a 3.19. His splits, he had a really dreadful start to the year, and he's actually been much better as of late. I guess I haven't checked in on him in a while because over the last 14 days, opponents are hitting 100 off of him. In the last 28, they're hitting 192. And slugging 308 in a month span. He's been much better over the last, month or so. Has a 1.29 ERA in the last month as well. More intrigued now than I guess 2 months ago. But I think of the names that you're going to bring up, he's probably a little lower on my list than he would have been, say, a year ago or 2 years ago.
Okay. Another name, we just talked about the Reds and if they sell or if they don't, but Nick Martinez. Bullpen.
I love Nick Martinez. Now, he's been a starter for them. He was with San Diego a couple years ago. That was a really good San Diego bullpen. I love Nick Martinez. If he's willing to take a bullpen role to help a team compete, I would absolutely be interested in Nick Martinez.
Next name, a TBD team with the Tampa Bay Rays, still in the mix. Pete Fairbanks probably isn't moved, is my guess, but I would definitely have interest in Pete Fairbanks.
Yeah, I think the Phillies will have interest. I don't think the Rays right now have interest in moving them. They're playing above their head. They're playing some really good baseball. The Phillies swept them out about a month and a half ago, and they looked awful that series. And since then, they've been really good. I think they're 8 or 9 games over 500 right now. Sorry, they're down to 6, but still, they're very much in contention. I'm not sure the Rays are looking to move anybody.
Yeah. Next name, one of the better performing arms in the bullpen this year on a really bad team. Jake Bird from the Colorado Rockies.
100% interested. I know he has that thing, the issue with Bryce Harper. It may be a little awkward in the clubhouse, but he has been excellent this season. I would definitely be interested.
All right. Another one from the Marlins, a little poach for another bad club. Calvin Foucher from the Miami Marlins. Do anything for you?
I'll be honest. I believe in transparency. I don't know enough about the guy to speak on him.
All I know is what I read on the his CBS blog earlier today. But to your point, like anybody can help. He's having a good year for them. His percentile ranks are pretty solid. He's missing barrels. He's not hard hit a ton. He's one of these kind of like slop guys that gets away with it.
One of the names I brought up the other day, I'll ask you if you're interested. Any interest in Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates?
He's third on the arms I'd want from the Pirates.
Sure, I get it, right? Is Santana's probably one, and then Bednar
Santana's one, yeah.
I think if you're looking to low buy, because Ferguson's on a 1-year deal, if you're looking to low buy, I think Ferguson may be an interesting option. Lefty, again, doesn't throw particularly hard, but has done a good job of missing bats.
Yeah.
I know that he's probably third. It's funny that for a team that's so bad, they have 3 relievers that teams are interested in.
Yeah, I'll take all 3. This guy, they just fired their manager and GM. The Nats are a mess, but Kyle Finnegan is closing out games for them. You're out on Kyle Finnegan.
I'm out on anybody that's in that bullpen. That bullpen sucks. It's so bad. I have no interest in anybody that's in that bullpen.
Okay. 2 more names. Bednar and Santana, we just kind of alluded to.
Yeah.
Yes on them. Aroldis Chapman, the Cuban
Without
missile.
question. Without question. Having one of his best years ever. His walk rates are crazy low right now. And it's really kind of the reason as to why he's been so good. He only has 10 walks this year, 9 or 10 walks this year.
It's crazy.
Still bringing it with the velocity. And he's just been his command's been really, really good. I would absolutely be interested in bringing Aroldis Chapman in.
And Dante Boris, yes, we did just talk about Bednar and Santana. If there was a combo deal with the 2 of them, hell yeah, giddy up. Let's go. And then the last one is an old head, a 39-year-old who's getting away with it. He's not putting a lot of balls in play. He's not getting hard hit a lot. He's just one of these guys that knows how to pitch at almost age 40. Chris Martin, you in?
I would have signed Chris Martin this offseason. He got a $5 million deal with the Rangers, and he's got a 2-something ERA. Chris Martin's been really, really good this year. I absolutely am interested in Chris Martin. And I know he's old. You're right, 39. He's getting up there in age, but he's pitching really well. And I would absolutely be interested in Chris Martin.
Yes. All right. So those are the names. There are upgrades out there. Unfortunately, a lot of the bats we talked about are left-handed, which is not ideal. But the bullpen is so desperate. And screw you, Jose Alvarado. I'm still mad at you for not uploading your substance, your medicine to the portal. We got to do a parlay of the day as we're getting out of here. Last night, Sixers Summer League without VJ Edgecombe. I'll be honest.
Don't care.
Yeah. Like Justin Edwards played all right last night, and the other guy, the other point guard, oh God, why am I brain farting right now? The Phillies, he had a good game last night. He had 26 points. Why am I blanking on his name? Whatever. Who cares? All right, let's do a little parlay of the day presented by BetParx and the BetParx Sportsbook. Tyler, you're the hot hand in the parlay of the day world. Let me see. We got to send it to overtime as we're doing the parlay. What do you got for us? You feeling a winner?
Lost yesterday. I took Will Warren over 5.5 strikeouts. He only had 4. If we go back to Monday, you and I did win. You took Christopher Sanchez over strikeouts. That hit. I took Shane Baz over strikeouts. That hit.
Yep.
I am going to go. I don't pick Phillies props very often, but I am actually going to go to the Phillies game.
They get one?
I'm not taking the game.
Okay.
I'm not going to take the game just because I hate San Francisco and it's a house of horrors.
Ballpark. Yeah.
I'm actually going to go to the strikeout props once again, and I am going to go to Justin Verlander. Verlander's been a lot better over the last couple of weeks. He's actually gone over the number in 3 of his last 4 starts, but Verlander's strikeout stuffs have really diminished over the last couple of seasons and this year specifically. His over today, his line is 4.5. I am actually going to take the under Justin Verlander 4.5 strikeouts today. I think the Phillies, I don't know if the Phillies offense is good, but I think they'll put enough balls in play to keep that number low. I'm going to take the under 4.5 strikeouts for Verlander at -129 today.
All right. I am going to go over Luzardo 5.5 Ks. I'm going to take the Phillies to win one. I think they get one on getaway day out there at that house of horrors. But I think they get to Verlander today. And yes, by the way, Provolone John, thank you for the bailout there. It was Mintz, Judah Mintz last night with 26 points for your 76ers. Nice little game from him.
So can we just petition the league when it's time to go to San Francisco? The Phillies just say, you can have 2 of 3 and we're not showing up.
I would love that. It is unbelievable how bad
we'll see in Philly.
Unbelievable how bad
they're terrible. They're terrible and it's not like it's I get it. If you're bad and the other team's good, it's bad. It's not a 5-year sample size.
Giants haven't been good for a lot of this.
We're talking about since the stadium opened in 2001.
Oh yeah,
they've been terrible since that stadium opened.
Yeah, I don't know what it is other than just the size. Maybe the site. I don't know. It's bizarre. Okay, there's our parlays of the day. We got the Anthony Gargano show with Bill Matz and Violations Greg happening right now, so we'll send everybody here over to them. It was a lot of fun talking about how we can upgrade this Phillies team. And the reason we care is because this Phillies team is good, and there is still winning potential in there. It was just a little bit of off-season malpractice and Jose Alvarado's selfishness that really kind of derailed this season. So now it's up to them to fix it. And they're going to have to do that as the MLB All-Star game is next week. And then basically the week after that is the trade deadline. So great time to upgrade the team, Dave. Go do it because they need it. This bullpen stinks. Jordan Romano stinks. I'm out. I don't want to see him in any more high leverage situations. I understand you're limited, but maybe elevate Tanner Banks, Matt Strahm, and Orion as your big 3. I am out on that dude. To everybody in the chat, to Joseph, Provolone John, Linda, Dante, who else we got in here? Peeling Onions, INS, Bobby C, Chris O'Donnell, everybody, thank you so much. Futz, how could I forget Futz? And Hoflax, everybody that hung out with us this morning, we really appreciate your time. You could spend it anywhere. Thank you for spending it with us. For Tyler Zulli, I am Jamie Lynch, filling in on Philly with John Marks, presented by the BetParx Casino and Sportsbook out in Ben Salem. Have a great rest of the Wednesday, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
We all silly like the mayor.